Welcome back. Welcome back. Hi, Steve. See your face coming up on my screen there. Hi, Laura. Hi, Hannah and Liam. Beautiful. Right, let's see if we can get the gallery view going. The participants are rushing through the door. Okay, ready to kick off session 2. Hi, everybody. Look, I really appreciate that. I know you're all here, and I know that at least 50% of us will have our track pants on, and I understand why your cameras are off. Come in and pop in every now and then. Same rules as before. Many of you would have been on the previous call where we had a great session with James Shaw and Tina Nata. Look, we've recorded that, and as soon as we can, we'll get that up and available for you to go back and watch. For those of you that are new this time around too, we're making liberal use of the chat and also the little hands up icon, which is hidden nicely behind the little emoji reactions button at the bottom of your screen. There's so many on these calls, though, it's actually pretty hard to go through and find everybody, but there's a team of us behind the scenes working on the tech side. And just as a starter, while everybody's coming in and seeing what's happening, we've got the promised poll, which we're about to launch from the last session. We asked you in the last session of all the things that we discussed as a result of hearing from James and Tina, what feels super crucial for us right now. So these are the options that we've pulled out. Of course, we might not have them all, and you can criticize and add in the chat if you want to, but go right ahead. If you were in the past session, or even if you've just turned up, you can answer multiple choice. Are all of these important? Is just one or two of them? If for us as 3 networks considering this, are these things crucial? Do you think? Tick the ones that you agree with. Don't do anything with the ones you don't agree with, and let's see where the responses get to. So that's a little bit of interaction to get started. Go for it. And thanks, Phil, for that top tip there. Yes, sometimes we have to disconnect the meeting in order to stop the recording and to save everything. So if ever you lose us, you can go back to the same link. Not this session, but session number 3, there'll actually be another separate link. I'm pretty sure that if you go back to the session brief that you would have got with your information from Eventbrite, is that right, daughter? Then the links will be in there as well. So if ever you get lost, we'll always leave someone in the original room, and we'll always put the links in the Eventbrite. Daughter, do you want to say anything about that?
On the website as well.
Yep. And they're on the website for this whole Strengthening Communities Hui. So hopefully we never leave anybody behind. And you can also text us or whatever if you need to. I think some of you have also got the details for Izzy, who's one of the people behind the scenes here helping it make it all work as well. Izzy, do you just want to take your mic off and say hi?
Hello.
There she is. Look at her, working hard. And we've got Ali there. Do you want to take your mic off and say hi, Ali? She's working hard on taking all the notes in the Trello.
Hello.
Brilliant. Hi, Sai. There's lots of lovely people, lots of lovely faces there. Okay, so you're filling in if you've just arrived. There's still a few people coming in. There's a poll up on the screen. These are some of the key ideas that came out of the first session, and we'd love you to tick the ones that you agree with. I'll close that poll in just a minute so we can get on with the session today. Yeah. Okay, whenever you're ready, tech team, when you think you've got enough answers, and then we can put the slide up on the screen, please. The next slide. So technical. Could any of us have done this a year and a half ago? I don't think so. Is it a good thing? I don't know. Oh, look, poll results are in, ladies and gentlemen. I like it. Look at all this. Look at all this agreement. So all of those, except for one, is well over the, is really starting to get in that right-hand side where there's a lots of agreement. But look at the top one here. decentralizing ourselves, understanding and embedding te tiriti, you know, this seems to be a message that we've heard loud and clear, and it's something that's absolutely crucial before we start on this work, or as we start on this work. So that's a pretty interesting thing to see. Coming in number 2 there is work on whakapapa and relationships.
Yeah, no, we can't see the results of that poll. You might share your screen.
You can't see? Oh, I have to share my screen? Oh, how come? That's weird.
Maybe it's because
click on the poll results section in the little shot.
You can see.
I can see it. Okay. So
okay,
some people obviously can.
Okay. Let me see if I can share my screen then. That might help. But now my poll results gone. Oh, here it is. Okay, so maybe I just need to do it like that. Let's have a go. Let's see if you can share Liana's screen and we'll see what happens. Da, da, da. Oh, no. Don't look at my desktop. Ah!
Obviously, if most people could see it, that's all good.
Yeah. Okay, I want to stop sharing because that's not working. I was nicely reading them out anyway. So for those of you who do who can't see it, what we will also do is maybe we can take a screenshot of that and just pop it in the chat, techos. God, we're good. Okay, so now I was talking about whakapapa and relationships coming in second, and coming in number 3 was increasing our ability to influence decision makers. Coming in just behind that was showcase the positive solutions, small and large. And where we're just sort of thinking about it is it our role to work on funding for Flaxroot, Hapu and Marae? We probably need to have a little bit more discussion about that. And working on getting some funding for grassroots innovation and activation. We're kind of split 50-50 on that one. So thank you very much. We're going to come back to those. But more importantly right now is there are 3 people on this call who've had the audacity, who maybe even they've gone into the eye-wateringly excruciating zone and laid down a challenge for us. And so what we're going to do now is, if you haven't already read it, where have you been? But we're putting the link in the chat now, is that we have a challenge that has been issued to you from the executive officers of each of the 3 networks: Zero Waste Network, Environment Hubs Aotearoa, and Community Energy Network. We know that most of you on this call will be part of those networks, but we also know that there's some other friends and interested people who are on this call as well, and your view is valid as well. We know you're not part of this network, but we'd love to hear your maybe even devil's advocate view about what we're doing. But so we've got this challenge, and hopefully the challenge will come up in the link. And now we're also going to have a slide which describes the challenge. We could just have that first slide, daughter. We'll take this off again, but just to put the slide up. Haha. So the wero, which is like laying down the challenge. This is my words about summarizing it. We're being called to take bold collective action on a transition to a just low carbon society. We're being called to build on our strengths and show some leadership. And there are 5 main areas or bullet points that are in the challenge. The first one says that we should, even though many of us are already doing a lot, that we should really get our act together on being able to show our footprints, just warts and all, and to be able to show that we're making progress on that, because that's one of the keys to us being able to show leadership. Second challenge is that we should be able to position ourselves with government at all levels, from national to local, as the people that can be in touch with the grassroots, that do have a great set of skills that are totally relevant to the challenge that we face at the moment. That we are already really strong at being able to educate and engage people, and that our being able to do that locally everywhere is a real strength that we should be building on. That we should look far more to be able to collaborate. We've already done great jobs of collaborating across the members of the networks, but also out with Hapu, with other sectors in society. We've done that on pure waste issues. We've done it on energy issues. We've done it on backyard biodiversity. We've done it on predator free. We need to really do that same level of collaboration for climate outcomes. And last but not least, that we should overtly really essentially for the first time as a major out there initiative on behalf of all 3 networks doing something together. So that's the challenge. And you can look at that at your leisure. But way more interestingly, I've managed to convince the 3 people who had the audacity to do this to come online and let me interview them, sort of like halfway between Kim Hill and Oprah Winfrey, somewhere along there. So take that slide off and let's get the faces up on the screen of your audacious executive officers. So you've probably seen these people before. I just want to say that even before we start grilling them, wow, here they are. These are the people that have, in less than like pretty well about 2 weeks, turned around a whole national Hui and turned it from offline to online to back online to back offline again. And it's all more or less working and we're all knackered, but yay. These people and their fantastic teams have made that happen. So I'm going to interview them. So get your microphones off, Georgina and daughter. Here you are. And those are the people that we're looking at. So I'm going to ask you the first obvious question. That why on earth did you do this? Why did you issue this challenge? Gareth, what were you thinking?
Firstly, can I just ask for Oprah more than Kim? That'd be good. Yeah,
Tell me how you feel, Gareth. Tell me how you feel.
Please be gentle. Yeah, I think from my point of view, I'm feeling the urgency and the complexity quite keenly. I'm feeling that, and I wouldn't for a moment accuse us all of being complacent, but my sense is that we're all playing in a space that we're all reasonably comfortable in terms of our expertise and knowledge, and that if we're going to address climate change, an equitable transition to climate change, carbon zero rather, then we're going to probably all have to get out of our comfort zones a little bit, and sort of step up, feel a bit risky in some of these decisions, and we're going to have to develop some new stuff, and that's going to feel uncomfortable. We're going to, at the same time as stepping up and being leaders, and we heard that from James. Personally, my discomfort that I'm going to be feeling, that I'm doing anyway, is responding to what Tina put down today. That's an area that I'm not comfortable with, but I know full well we're going to have to do much better on that. So, yeah, it's a bit of a kick. It's a kick up my own bum. I'm not that flexible, so I need some other networks and other people to do that.
Excellent. You kick yourself up the bum. We don't even need to do it. I like it. Well, thanks, Gareth. I can hear that, like the urgency and the kind of like, it's easy, isn't it? Like we're all sitting here thinking, oh no, I've got so much work on my list to do tomorrow, yesterday, God, I haven't even caught up from whatever. Are you asking me to do even more new stuff? And I think the answer is that, I don't know about whether it's new, but you are asking people to put climate change nearer the top. Is that right? Yeah. So look,
yeah, it's in everything. It's not a project. It's across all of our work.
It's like if ever there was a time now. Okay, so look, we've got that. We've got the motivation, and daughter and George, you can add, but let's come down to, that was almost like the why. Let's come down to the what. I mean, daughter, if we look through that, the preamble, there's about 4 or 5 paragraphs there, isn't there? And it's kind of saying about that it needs to be bold and whatever. I mean, just talk us through how what it is actually that you're calling us to do, at least the first half of that list.
Okay, so yeah, I think it does mean some changes within ourselves and within our organizations, and yeah, like you just talked about, kind of prioritizing this. And I think that might just be about making some links that actually are often already in place for organizations. I think in terms of our footprint, we are often quite small organizations, and we're aware of this stuff. So we may actually be, pretty good, but the Zero Waste Network went through the experience of bringing ECOS on to do our carbon footprint. And I just recommend that everybody should be doing that. So that's one thing that you would all kind of prioritize and actually action, what examining your own footprint as a person, and and as an organisation, and start to have the conversations about that way more. So that's the first thing. Then I think the second one is about positioning ourselves with government. We've got a really good example with that within the Zero Waste Network, with having Sue Coots on board as our Director of Executive Affairs. And so she's based in Wellington, and she's really been pushing those relationships. And it would just be amazing if we could build on that, and potentially the other networks have similar people, or we have some kind of coordinated approach to that. I think we've got really important things to say, and I think we just need to prioritise that a bit more.
Hey, thanks, daughter. Yeah, and I mean, that's interesting, isn't it? Already in our poll, that taking action to be able to get a better voice and to be able to show more influence came up as being agreed by like quite a lot of people as an opening principle. So don't worry, Georgina, you don't get off the hook. I'm going to grill you too. So what on earth, you know, those other bullet points, just talk us through those next three. What do you mean by some of that stuff? What is it that we're actually challenged to do?
So it really is about acting collectively. So we've got so much experience and knowledge through all of our networks and our organizations. So it's really about how we can actually use those collectively. And so it's about trying to gain the ideas from our network and see where we can actually make those wider, to share some of that collective knowledge. We've got you know, everyone's on a journey, so it's really sharing that language, how we can get some of that climate change across in our communication in terms of what we're doing. So we might be doing something that's not specifically about climate change, but it's getting that into what we're doing and how we're educating and talking to our communities. So that's basically what we're doing today, is hearing from everybody, but it's about getting that leadership out and getting it out into our communities. And, you know, at risk of saying urgent too many times, and I don't know if we can say that too many times today, but it's about trying to recognise that for a lot of our organisations, you know, we do want to have that climate change conversation out there now.
Hey, thanks, George. I see there's a few comments coming in. So Damon said, oh, maybe we should call it the Climate Action Challenge rather than the Climate Change Challenge. Yeah, I like that. Thanks for your comment too in there, Janet. Yeah, like thinking about how we can go fast and go far, that not everybody needs to be on the bus, but someone's got to be the catalyst, right? So we've got this challenge. It's about collective bold action. Yeah, all very well and good, but if let's just talk that through in terms of the perspective of some people that might be on this call, or certainly the people that are in our network. So, daughter, if I'm sitting in the ops shed, the operations shed at, I don't know, Wastebusters in Wanaka or somewhere like that, what are you saying to me? Like, I've already got a full-time job, thank you very much. What does this challenge mean to somebody who's already got to be pretty good at something else other than climate change?
Well, first of all, I would say that what you're doing is really important, and we need to keep doing that stuff. I think for ops focused people, you're on the ground and you're actually having really important interactions with people in lots of different ways. So for the Zero Waste Network, you're in yards and people are bringing in goods, and that's an opportunity to have a conversation. For people within the energy network, you're going into homes, and that's a conversation to have a conversation about climate change. And for the environment centres, there's so many different conversations that you can be having and linking them to climate change. So I think for ops people, we probably need to commit to kind of making some really good, clear ways to articulate the connections, and yeah, really encouraging people to have as many conversations about this stuff as possible. And I think probably at an organisational level, we really need to start talking about our positive contribution as well, and letting our ops people be able to tell those stories with a climate change lens. Like we have so many amazing impacts, and some of them are definitely like really important in regards to positive climate change action. or
Hey.
positive climate action. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, no, I get that. Thank you, daughter. Well, George, I'll come to you with one. So I don't know, say I'm sitting in the Sustainability Trust in Wellington and I've got 25 workshops that I've got to organise for the next 4 months. What are you saying to me? What, I got to start again? Or, you know, what does this actually mean for all the communications, education, outreach work that many of our centres do?
No, you keep doing exactly what you're doing. What we need to do is we need to just lever that climate messaging and get that out. So you're actually doing really wonderful things doing your 25 workshops in the Sustainability Trust. It's also partly giving that mandate to us as the executive officers and us talking to our boards. So no, all of the educators are doing exactly the, you know, amazing things. It is about getting those effective climate messages out there about that transition. And it's also coming back to what we've heard a little bit about today, is just recognizing, you know, some of those relationships, and actually probably all of us having, you know, that deep dive into some of, you know, what we've done in the past, what we can do in the future, and who we can work with locally with our tangata whenua.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so Gareth, let's go to the other end of the thing. So say I'm in charge of Tairāwhiti Environment Centre, or I'm over in Taranaki trying to do like multiple things. I'm the chief executive, or I'm on the board of one of our many member organisations. You know, or even actually the people that are helping at some of that national level stuff. You know, Sue, you mentioned Sue being in Wellington. So what does this actually mean for our high level leaders, our management, our boards? You know, what role have they got to play in all of this?
Yeah, and firstly, I'd just like to recognise that many of our boards are voluntary, and so that in itself can be a bit of a challenge in terms of upskilling or spending the time that's required. So I would acknowledge even our own network boards, but also our individual member boards, the amount of time that they do put into it, usually voluntarily, is amazing. That's super cool. It's also a weakness in that, you know, as we're doing this transition work, the skill set is fairly extraordinary. The skill set required is fairly extraordinary, and the strength and probably the time required is going to be fairly extraordinary too. So I think we're under-resourced, both at the management level and at the governance level. And I think that's around us finding some resourcing so that our governance groups can train where they need to train, and potentially even bring in some new governance people that have got some of those skills that we need and might come from a different sector that we're not usually comfortable working with. But they've got some skill sets there that we need to have. So I think there's a challenge. There's a bit of a challenge laid down there too that we're going to need to flex quite a lot as we're building our responses.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Gareth. Look, now I can see that in the chat, most of the comments that are coming in are positive. You know, like there's someone saying, yeah, let's go for it. We should be doing this, but we're not going to take that for granted. You know, it's up to us really to imagine what it would be like in 3 years' time. What could it look like? It could look like that actually we've gone through all of that, those tricky stuff about resourcing it, about really understanding what skills we need, you know, about going back to our cultural competency and thinking about what how we should approach this in that whakapapa relationship place with as treaty partners. So we've got those process things that we've got to do if we even decided to do this. But you know, in 3 years' time, I guess one of the things that I've talked about with you three is that we would potentially have these messages just linked through all of our other work, and we'd be able to show not only what we had done in terms of reducing our footprint or coming up and sharing those beautiful on the ground projects that can really make a difference, but hopefully actually a shift in that dial of where New Zealand is at. There was along with the climate action tracking poll that assessment that came out yesterday, just last week there was another opinion poll done on New Zealanders, and the good news and bad news. The good news is that we have all actually shifted. We do believe more in climate change. We sort of want our governments to do more, and we kind of are accepting of it. But actually, so that's good. The travel is in the right direction. But if you compare us with most of the rest of the world, even, God forbid, Australia, we are behind. Like, we just don't have as much enthusiasm or a sense of urgency as even other countries such as Australia doing. So there's almost like real room for us to make a difference over the next 3 years to get in behind this. But that's just me talking. So what we're going to do now is we're going to give you a chance to do a bit of meeting each other, a bit of whakawhanaungatanga. We can put that slide up if you like now, daughter. And the question that we're putting to you, we're going to go into subgroups. There'll be small groups and you'll be randomly allocated to those groups. And you've really only got 2 jobs in that group. The first is to say hi and introduce yourself to everybody in that group, and hopefully you'll meet some new people. But the second job is just to say, do you think that we should do it? Next slide, actually, after that, the one after that, daughter, I think. Breakout rooms, here we go. So the question is, to what extent, here we go, there it is, to what extent do you think we should be prioritising action on climate change across the 3 networks? That is what you're going to be debating in your little group. Now, you can disagree with each other, that's fine, but I just want you to be exposed to hearing what other people have got to say. And we've even come up with a little, I guess it's a spectrum of opinions here. You might be way up there at the hell yes 100%, or you might be down here at no way, this is overreaching. Maybe you're just wanting to listen. Yeah, we could have started a bit slowly. I'm more or less positive, but I want to see how, all the way to, yep, let's allocate some budget and go for it. So we acknowledge that we haven't talked at all yet about what or anything, but this is just a temperature take. We're not voting, we're not making the final decision, but this is a temperature take discussion on really broadly, should we accept this challenge or not? So you're going to be automatically allocated to breakout rooms. This slide should come up in the text. You should get a message in the breakout room with this question. You don't need to record anything. You just need to, as the yellow text indicates here, make sure everybody gets a chance to introduce their name, role, and organisation, and then just to say a little bit about what they think. And if you can really remember to share the air so that everyone gets a chance to talk. Hopefully the text will be working on getting you into a room with about 6 people. So you've got half an hour. So that means you should have time for everybody to introduce themselves and for everybody to answer what I'm calling the big if question. So that's about what's going to happen. I just need to, you can stop sharing that screen now, daughter. I just want to check if my colleagues can help me check the chat that everybody's cool. So that, again, this is a temperature take. You're just broadly looking at the real top level. Should we or shouldn't we? What's your feeling about right now? And chat with others, and you might find out that you've got some common reservations, all good. But it's just really a chance to not be stuck on a big view like this. So unless I see any messages which are saying, nope, don't make me go, we're about to make you go. You'll be automatically brought back here after 30 minutes. Enjoy, be kind. Hope you meet some new people. Hopefully we'll get you moving to those chat rooms now. Oh, sorry, is everyone back? Hello, hello. Welcome back. 25 participants. Is there any more? Sorry, I was just having a snack.
26.
26 participants come back. Welcome, welcome. Welcome back from the breakout rooms. Okay. Oh no, here we are. We're all coming back. I was just having a little snack. So, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Hopefully you got to meet some new people, and hopefully you all had a really good discussion. Look, if you came up with anything really good in your discussion and you haven't yet, whack that in the chat, because don't forget, we'll keep all of that, and it helps me just get a gauge for where people are at. So we're going to finish in just about 10 minutes, but for now, what we're going to do is launch a poll so that we can get a bit of a feel about what's happening across all of those groups. I think there was like 12 different groups. So We're going to launch the poll. It's the same question that you've already been discussing, the big if. You know, should we do this or not? We're not deciding. It's a temperature take. And there's that little scale between hell no to hell yes. And so that poll should come up on your screen pretty soon. And yeah, as we're all coming back and settling in, just let us know where you're at the moment. You might be thinking about this individually. You might be thinking about it, thinking about all the networks. You might be thinking about it from the point of view of your organisation. All's good. Of course, we're not all on this call anyway, but it would be great just to see, after having that discussion with your colleagues, where you think things are beginning to sit. And let's see what's going on in the chat. Is that poll coming up? I can't see it on my screen, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah.
Here it goes. Great work, folks. Put your answers in. Good work. 75% have answered so far. You're in the... Great. Okay, lovelies, we should get that result coming through anytime soon. Let us know in the chat if you can't see it. A couple of people last time when we did the poll couldn't see the answer. Okay, I can see the answer, so I'll just talk through it in case everybody can't. Looks like there's 63% of the people on hell yes, let's go for it. 16% of people are saying, yeah, I'm pretty positive about this. Let's set aside some specific sort of boundaries around it and go for it. And the remainder are kind of going, yeah, I'm also positive. I just need to see a little bit more about the how. And the good news is that the very next session is going to give us a chance to rummage around in some ideas at least about the specifics for the how. And a lovely 4% saying I'm here to listen, which is a great open-minded way. So look, I'm getting that vibe that if you add up hell yes 100% and the positives with some caveats, that we can kind of see where the vibe of the room is going, which is pretty exciting. Yay. So I'm going to give you an opportunity in just a minute to share a little bit from each of the rooms. But before we do that, I just want to remind everybody where we're at, in case I know there's a couple of people who have just arrived. So if we can flick to the slides, daughter, we've got the slide that just reminds us about the challenge or the whittle that has been laid down by the executive officers of the 3 networks. And this is our sessions that we're going through at the moment. We're up to session 2, the challenge, and if we should accept it. If you go to the slide that says the process at the top of it, daughter, if you can find that one, it's probably just above this one. Keep going up. There, that's what we've just done. And keep going up. There should be a slide that says the process. It's right at the top. So looks like you're down the bottom of the slides. Oh, look. No, everyone's seeing all the beautiful slides that are coming up. Yes, brilliant. Okay. So this is just to catch everybody up, is that this whole kōrero today is around getting the people that are on these calls really engaged in this challenge. But we know you don't represent everybody in the network. So this is not a decision-making forum as such, but it's a really influential forum that will flow into a bit of a proto process that we've got laid down here. This is not set in stone, and this also is open for discussion. So you'll see here, just so that everybody knows, that the recordings, the chat and the polls from this Hui are all going to be available to everybody. And right live now, it'll be in the chat, but we can also put it in again. There is a Trello board that's got all the notes, and also that Trello board is open. There's a particular card in there that's got the challenge itself, and a bit like a UN negotiation over some declaration, you are invited to go in and make comments about the language directly into the challenge. You could almost sort of say like the challenge is a little bit of our proto statement about what we want to achieve, but that's going to be live throughout today and then from on now in the coming weeks. the 3 executive officers from the networks have already got meetings lined up for the 1st and the 20th of October, where they're going to process any of this feedback. And then if there is agreement to go ahead in whatever form, there's the opportunity to present proposals to the network boards in November. So this is not trying to steamroller things and say we will do it, but we just wanted to make sure that there was a pathway out of all this valuable discussion, that it wasn't just going to be one of those Hui where we all talk and then there's no real way for us to get anywhere. So that's just me giving you this information now, and we can come back to that in session 4. Which starts at 1:30. But for now, let's just open things up for the last few minutes. Look, we've got the result there and it's pretty well overwhelmingly positive. I would just, if we can stop the slides now, daughter, and I'll just have a quick look in the chat. But I don't know whether you even knew which group you were in, but does anyone know that they were in group 1, breakout room 1? And if you were, does anyone want to do a little news report from breakout room 1? Do you know who was in there, Izzy? Can you still see that?
So room 1 had Anna, Kat, Lisa and Michael.
Hey, so any of you, I'd love to just hear a little bit about what you liked about that conversation. So anybody can just put their mic on and say, someone from group 1. Or did you all just go and have a cup of coffee, which I would totally understand. And were there any cats involved in that video chat?
Yeah.
Cats, go for it. Yeah, there was some cats. It was actually cats.
Yeah, it was really good. It was a good discussion on what, we think it's a fantastic idea, but we do really want to make sure what's defined as climate action, because that can be quite a broad topic. And then we do have lots of organisations that are already doing things in our networks or right nationwide. And it's just making sure that, okay, we're not expected that Christchurch is going to do the same as Blenheim is going to do the same as everywhere else, because, and it just, again, what counts as a climate action? There is so much happening anyway. And the other thing we discussed is that there are so many people that are doing some amazing work and they're already quite stretched. And something I personally think should be addressed is problems that we're relying on capitalism. And if we can actually introduce a currency or a sustainable economy as part of what we're doing, that would give it a leverage. And we talked about volunteers who are doing work and they might be on the benefit, but if they were actually able to earn an income from what they're doing, that would give them more sense of value than just doing the volunteer work. And if people could, who are so stretched at the moment, were able to bring in more volunteers to help them and pay them, because the economies, take away capitalism and it opens a whole, it enables us to do everything.
I love the way in a 30-minute chat you discussed taking away capitalism. I think that's
everything seems to come back to that. So sorry, that's my
perfect. But
I don't know if I represented it as that well, but
no, but we hear you. I hear something about a little bit of careful thinking on what our real niche is and make sure we're adding value and not stomping on toes. And a little bit of specificity, a bit of a discussion around, so what are the climate actions that we think would really do that are needed right now? And like you say, some kind of walking the talk in terms of that justice idea, and perhaps looking at whether it be, like local currencies or some other support, so that that you can be part of the action economy, not just the financial economy. So that's fantastic. Thanks, Kat.
Yeah, hey, you did that so well. Thank you.
That's my job. Hey, group 11, I think there was a group 11. Izzy, can you remind us who was in that one?
In group 11, we had Kathy, Courtney, Joanne, Kate, and I think it's Rachel.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Hey, so any of you folks want to take your opportunity to just give us a flavour of what happened in your breakout room. Go on, you can do it. We're not that scary. I'm just going to wait here in total silence until one of you says, yes, I'm going to do it. So that just to let you know. Read those names out again, Izzy.
Kathy, Courtney, Joanne, Kate, and Rachel.
Do you see the crickets, see the tumbleweeds going past?
I didn't want to do this. I was hoping
Yay,
Kate would.
Joanne! Thank you,
Oh.
Joanne. We love you.
Yeah, we had a good chat. Actually, similar things came up about volunteers and not having to rely on volunteers, and finance, you know, how are we going to finance this? And we actually kind of was like, what if we didn't have action, or what is action? That came up too. And I brought up we were talking about being on the Courtney's on the front line doing the waste, and how does she help educate people? So that's kind of important. And I talked about my life cycle, you know, how looking at the life cycle and how to reduce waste. We were saying, yeah, the whole waste thing and how to reduce it. So we were talking about the life cycle and looking about redesigning products and that sort of thing. Kate, I can't remember anything else. Kate was talking about her. Oh, you were talking about currency, weren't you, Kate? You'd have to explain that, not me.
Yeah,
so,
great.
yeah.
So did your group probably reflect what the poll said, Joanne? Like, were you sort of like, sounds like you were positive, but with a few caveats about we need to define some things?
Yeah, how to finance it, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, I like it. That's pretty realistic. Good. Hey, look, let's just open it up now. Anyone can use that little hand, put your hand up emoji that's in there under the reactions button at the bottom of your screen. If anybody wants to say anything, the focus of these comments are around the if question. What's our feeling across the three networks? Because again, some of you may have attended one of the pre-Zoom Huis, and Billy did this really good session around what does collective action actually mean. And he gave a great little hierarchy, and all of this will be in the notes as well, which it's getting beyond. I mean, sharing information is sort of like the base level kind of activity that we could do. So, you know, that would just be, let's just socialize more, not just amongst your individual networks, but across all three networks about the great ideas. And that itself could see people can look across the fence and go, yeah, I'd like a bit of that. I'm going to try that. But this collective action across three networks, we've done it by organising Hui, we've done it with buyers clubs. It's not that we haven't done this, but this could be the first real thing where we're putting our head above the parapet publicly, I guess, as three networks. And I think that's something that I'm quite interested in hearing as well, because, you know, let's be honest, it's actually sometimes hard enough doing that stuff in one network. So I'm very happy to hear skeptics and comments too about, you know, a bit of fear and trepidation of the scale of what we're taking on. So let me just flip through and see if any brave person's put their hand up. I'm open for overall comments or reflections on that poll about if you think that is likely to reflect the whole network. Does anybody want to say anything?
Scott had his hand up first.
Yeah, just great. Scott, what do you think? Does it reflect your discussion? And do you agree overall? I saw in the comments before that you thought we should go for it. So
I'm just frantically trying to listen and make notes, because we had such a inspiring discussion in room 8. I think we were room 8.
Go room 8.
Yeah. So look, there's definitely strong appetite for effective climate action, and it's got to prioritise te tiriti. So that's really strong, I think. Shoa made the point that Areake demonstrate the resource is being allocated for climate action, and resources are there for high profile action or groups. So it's really time for us to step up and get on track. And
thanks, Scott.
Yeah,
thank you. Hey, I've just got to we've got one more minute, and I think Steve, you had your hand up next, so I'm just going to give Steve a little 2-minute airtime or 1 minute airtime. Sorry, Reese, I'll come to you next session. Go, Steve.
That's no problem.
Yeah,
we're in the same group.
Steve
Steve will speak for us.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think our group was definitely in favour very strongly of the suggestion, and with a big focus on engaging through behaviour change, behavioural science, storytelling, reconnecting. That's already a little bit into the how. But I think from a personal point of view, I think that all of us are doing stuff that has an impact on climate, a positive impact on climate in our mahi and our different kaupapa. I think it's really a case now of just actually looking at everything we're doing and try and put the climate to the top of what we're trying to do. So if we're doing organic composting, you know, that's really having an impact. If you're looking at transport, how is that having a positive impact on climate, and emphasizing that side of things?
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that word storytelling, you know, and I think that could be really important. We'll make that's going in the Trello board, Ali? Look, just because I'm going to be like the mistress of timekeeping, yes, we've come to the end of this session. I just want to see, daughter, if you could put the slide up about what's going to happen next. So well done. We're halfway through. My bum is still feeling okay, but that's my business. And because I'm sitting. We've got 2 more sessions to go. The next one starts at 11:30, if I'm right. Yes. So the next one's starting at 11:30. So you've got about 15 minutes to go and get a cup of coffee and go to the loo. This is about coming on to the thing that we seem to be hungry to talk about, which is ideas for action. In this session, you'll get an opportunity to go to 3 separate new rooms, and the links will be there. You'll see, because a couple of people were concerned, what about if I get lost, or I didn't know I had to deliberately bring myself back with the link. To come to each of these sessions, it's the same link, and we've put that in the chat and in the Trello, haven't we? In session 3, you will also go out to a separate room, and we'll tell you all about that then, so you don't need to worry. So that's what's happening next. Of course, any other comments or feedback, hopefully we're not steamrolling you too much. It's weird, you know, I'm just trying to feel my way in keeping us all connected, but next session you're going to have another chance to be in smaller rooms, so hopefully that's really engaging for you. So it's over and out from us. 1 more session, and then we're going to take a full hour for lunch, so you've got that to look forward to. But please do keep yourself watered, fed, and happy, and we'll see you back at 11:30.